Um, where would you like to see confessional Lutheranism over the next 10 to 20 years? Changes, growth, doctrine, unity? Good question. And that's something that I am always thinking about. I'm very often thinking about where is Lutheranism going to be? And we have to think about that for a lot of reasons. One of those is just the fact that the Lutheran tradition, I mean, Lutheran churches are largely elderly. I mean, that's the reality, is that our congregations are rather old. And so what I think we have to do, there are a few things that I think I would like to see in Lutheranism. One is I would like to see us use media like this, like YouTube and formats like that. You know, I'm not the only one doing this. There are plenty of others that are as well. But I would like to see an expansion of that. I think Lutheranism has always had an awareness of technology and how to use that technology well. The printing press was really key to the Reformation itself. And you see when radio broadcasts began, the Lutheran Hour was, I believe, I've heard the first Christian broadcast on radio. So we have historically kind of been at the forefront of a lot of these things. And I think that's just in terms of getting the word out. And that's something I'm always very concerned about, because I think a lot of people just don't know that Lutheranism exists. I mean, I see so many people looking into Anglicanism because they don't know Lutherans are even a thing, and they don't see that it's an option. A lot of evangelicals that are kind of leaving, looking for Rome or Easter, or even the Anglican communion, who just don't know that we're an option. So something I would really like to see is just an expansion of awareness that we exist. Our publishing efforts are part of that. So I'd like to see more affordable publications, awareness that we exist through online, through whatever medium is there. I think what I would like to see in the future of Lutheranism is a grabbing onto our historic tradition and our liturgical tradition, and a prioritizing of that, and a being who we are, instead of Lutheran churches that attempt to attract evangelicals by doing what evangelicals do, but doing it badly. Because that's what happens. You know, I'd like to see Lutherans just embrace the tradition and be who we are, who we've always been. So I'd like to see that. I would love to see a well-rounded Lutheranism. And this is something that I think is just so missing in so many of the reductionist camps of Lutheranism, which is that we have, so much of Lutheranism that is defined by these kind of polarizations between, you know, law and gospel, or the kingdom of the left and the kingdom of the right, or the hidden and revealed God. And while I think those dialectics are really great, we have unfortunately been wrongly, I think, expressing those things as kind of contradictions and not allowing a lot of developed theology because of that. Everything is just these kind of polarizations, and we do theology by way of slogans and things like that. So we don't have a lot of place for significant talk of things like the mystical union, or any Christian experience, or of sanctification. So I think that the way to do this best is to just recapture what our tradition has always been. And I hate to say throw out the 20th century, but I kind of want to throw out the 20th century. I really do. I mean, the second half of the 20th century was just such a bad era for theology in so many ways. There's a lot of theology going on. I just don't think much of it was very good. And I think it really harmed us, I think, in a lot of ways. So thank you for the super chat there. Appreciate that. So I think that's the essence of what I would like to see. I'm doing my own role in some of that, but certainly I don't want to be doing it myself. Ultimately, what I would like to see is a lot of other people doing this kind of thing as well. And, you know, there are other people, of course, doing YouTube, doing a great job at that as well, and doing publishing and all sorts of things. I just want to see that grow. And I think we're actually moving in a really positive direction in regard to a lot of that. I think actually I would mention one other thing, and I know that this probably will make some people mad, but one other thing is I do think that we, in this current era, we need to grow out of our kind of reliance on being just a Germanic tradition. And you do see that in a lot of areas, in a lot of communities that are largely Germanic still, which, that's great. But I think it tends to be the case with any kind of ethnically bound church, right? With Greek Orthodoxy or Russian Orthodoxy or Lutheranism, or any ethnic, it could be anything. But we tend to kind of sometimes conflate cultural identity with religious identity, and religion, of course, has the culture, but just in terms of ethnicity. So what I would really like to see is kind of an expansion of that. I really love the fact that there are like more African American Lutherans now. And I'm seeing them active and doing things like that's awesome. I love that. And I would love to see kind of going just beyond the borders of what is just Germans or just Scandinavians or Norwegians. That's not really my ethnic background even. And like I going into a Lutheran church, sometimes it's like a little weird even for me at first because I'm not, German. I guess technically there's like a little bit of German there somewhere. Anyway, that's something that I would like to see as well, kind of because the gospel is a universal message, and what we have in the beauty of Lutheranism is something that should extend beyond like all cultural boundaries. So I would like to see that as well.